It is week number 3, Midway football, back home again against Rouse and Josh Mann and the Raiders, and you're 2-0, off to a nice start. And you started so well in that game at home against Cedar Ridge. Let's start with that, and then we'll get into Rouse and then a few other things as well. Jesse Satterfield goes like 95 or 6 yards, boom, right out of the gate, and then here we go.
Yeah, I'm number one, that's a big tribute to all the kids on the field and just executing and doing what you got to do on a kickoff return. And Jesse would be one of the first to sit there and say that. And Coach Willis, and he's our special teams coordinator, and just, dissecting what Cedar Ridge does from a kickoff standpoint and how to block this and scheme this up. But it was executed to a T. And that's exactly the way we wanted to start. The biggest thing that we've been talking about all week is, in our first scrimmage, our second scrimmage, our first game, we kind of started a little bit slow, especially from an offensive special team standpoint. And, we came out of the gates as hot as probably we could be. And so, I thought we started real fast, obviously. And Jesse in the kickoff return really set the tone for the first quarter. And then I thought we finished really strong. There's that second and third quarter that we got to work on, and we put a good 24 minutes together. We're searching for 48 right now.
Is that the other teams have players too and coaches that are really
Absolutely.
good too? Is that one of those things you start so fast it's hard to maintain that focus, or is it the adjustments made, or a combination of both?
I think there's a combination of a lot of things. The things that we're going to worry about are the things that we can control. And we can only control us. We got to learn how to put people away when you get them.
Yep.
When you go into a feeding frenzy, is kind of what we were doing, through the first quarter. The offense was clicking, defense was clicking, special teams were clicking. And then we started kind of shooting ourselves in the foot a little bit. I don't know that it was as much as what the opponent was doing, and maybe so, but more or less what we were doing to ourselves. And so, obviously we still have a lot of things to work on.
You and I get to meet on Tuesdays with Josh Creech, your defensive coordinator, Kevin Crane, your offensive coordinator. And I wanted to say this, El Conquistador restaurant with the Gonzalez family, with David, who runs the store in Belmead, and Carmen, the one on Waco Drive. They set you guys up for lunch, don't they?
They set us up for lunch, and I'm going to tell you, yesterday the enchiladas were unbelievable. They were gone within an hour. And
yeah, you got to make sure you hold some of those coaches better get there early, because Jason might eat 4 or 5 of them by himself.
Well, Kramer came to me and he said, I'm not much of an enchilada guy, but those were some of the most amazing enchiladas I've ever had.
Yep, they're really, really good. So thanks again to the Gonzalez family on Tuesdays as we go and sit down and kind of look at a few things with what you have going on in your opponent. So you are playing without 2 of your better players. I mean, not best, but again, we know how good Donovan is going to Oklahoma State, it appears, and then Eduardo. But it doesn't seem like you've missed a beat. How much have the others, like Lincoln Fisher, or I saw what English had the long run, and he looks really good. And then obviously Lathan has taken on a big part of the load. It's like that could sometimes derail a team early on.
Well, I think that's a big hats off to a lot of guys and whoever, those guys that are sitting there and putting in the work and stuff. Lincoln Fisher has come in from the beginning of camp and has proven himself time and time again. And, there's opportunities for these guys to step up to the plate, and they're seizing the opportunity. And, Coach Creech and that staff, his defensive staff, had done a tremendous job of putting guys in, good positions and scheming and allowing these young men to sit there and play fast and go make plays. And then you talk about Lil English, who, obviously he's one of the fastest kids that we probably got straight line speed on the team. And his growth process and what Coach Crane and Coach Kelly, his position coach, have been able to do with him, we're excited about what the future looks like right now.
B.J. Kelly, one of the great names,
no doubt.
An unbelievable player at Midway High School back in the day.
Yes,
absolutely.
Sir. I had the unfortunate opportunity of having to try to tackle him.
Yeah, I did. Now, with who you are, with what you've done defensively, which is just like swarm to the football, you discussed kind of your scheme and just go make plays and play quick and be ready. Rouse puts up huge numbers. Their quarterback, London, is really good. And it seemed like they're averaging like 500 and some yards a game. What's the challenge there for you?
Well, I'm going to tell you, this is going to be a big physical challenge for us on both sides of the ball in all three phases, actually. And Coach Josh Mann does an amazing job. Obviously, Coach Mann opened up the doors to that school and has been there the entire time, and is running a well-oiled program. These kids have grown up in his program, and he knows all the kids. Kids know him, the community, and everything. And so, they had a tough game last week with Liberty Hill, and obviously trying to go and stop the slot T and stuff is extremely hard. But we had the opportunity to get to go against them a little bit. Nobody's going to show too much, in a scrimmage, but we got to peek at each other and what type of kids that each other has and stuff like that. This is probably going to be one of the tougher games that we've had so far, most physical games. And I think it's going to be a welcome challenge for us defensively, offensively, everything. And so this will be a big win for us. It's going to be a good test, and we'll get our medal tested a little bit.
London Morgan, the quarterback, wears jersey number 1. A couple of good running backs. One has an 88-yard run to his credit, and Reyes. And so they're really, really, really good. So you seem to be in a pretty good little, I'm not saying you're in cruise control, because that's dangerous to bring that up, because you never know what's going to happen. But you seem to be in a pretty good rhythm. It was the first time you experienced being at Midway as the head coach of the home team. And again, the fans, the student section, and everyone else, it's a great atmosphere. It's a beautiful stadium. What was your experience now that you look back at it?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I sat there and you and I talked about this last week, and I'm going to reiterate it again. And we talk about it with the kids, the team, and stuff like that. When you go out there, you only get to be a senior once, and you only get to play and underneath Friday Night Lights so many times. And so, soak in the moment. And so, we continue to sit there and reemphasize, hey, take a moment to sit there and soak some things in. And you poured in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and you've gone through some good times and hard times and all of that stuff. And, now is an opportunity for you to sit there and relish at the moment a little bit. But, I'm going to do the same thing. And, I encourage our coaches to do the same thing. And so, to go out there and to see the student body, oh my goodness. I mean, that's the 12th man right there, and our band and cheer and all of the community and everything. I remember walking in at halftime, going in at halftime, and I got to sit there and speak with the team for just a brief moment, and then I stepped outside and I stepped outside for a minute and got to watch our band play, and I looked up into the stands and I said, man, this is what Texas high school Friday night football is all about. And I even had one of our coaches come up to me, Coach Hoffman. He said, Coach, I believe we're living in a high school town.
Yeah.
And it, it's a good moment for us as coaches. It's a great moment, unbelievable moment for our community, but especially for this football team, our student body, our band, and everybody.
You hear about a one-horse town, and I guess because it's the Hewitt School District, Hewitt Midway, you were in that one-horse town at Stephenville, which had that unbelievable success, including you with Coach Briles, and then what you've done as well, and they're still good now. What's it like? What was that like to kind of get that in your blood?
That was an experience that, fortunately I grew up in Stephenville. My pops was a coach, and he coached at the collegiate level and stuff. And I knew at a very early age what I wanted to do, and I was his shadow everywhere he went. And so I knew at an early age what I wanted to do. The fortunate thing is he was at the college level. I really never wanted to do the college thing. I always wanted to be in high school, and I had some phenomenal high school coaches, and I had a phenomenal high school experience. And Coach Briles came in the spring of my sophomore year, and Stephenville hadn't been to the playoffs since 1952. And 30 something years later, we're going to the playoffs, and the rest is history, because everything started going up from there. We were everybody's homecoming at one point.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, we were the target for everybody. And so, that was an unbelievable experience, but, having the Cam fans and the traditions and everything that you have there.
Oh my God. When I go to Texas Stadium and they'd have you know who was playing.
Yes, sir.
In that game. You said you weren't real interested in college, but you ended up with Tulsa, Philip Montgomery, then TCU with Coach Dykes. Was that just something that with Philip having his connections to Stephenville, former Baylor offensive coordinator, you couldn't resist?
Philip and I are about the same age, and although I look a lot younger than him, but
I will tell him you said
yeah.
that.
And but Philip and I are the same age, and we grew up. Actually, he grew up in Eastland. I grew up in Stephenville. Eastland has a storied program as well, and he was a part of all of that. And then we had the fortunate opportunity to coach with each other in the mid to latter part of the '90s, and got to win a couple state championships. On that staff at Stephenville, and he and I were kind of the low men on the totem pole. And so we sat there and we were having kids at the same time and all of that business. And so we were the young ones on that staff, and we became, just unbelievable friends. And he and his family, that's family to us. He's a brother to me. And I never had I really didn't have much desire to go to the college level. I wanted to sit there and pour into to kids at the high school level, but there, from our family dynamic, and then when he got the job at the University of Tulsa, and gave me the opportunity to go and be on staff with him, there wasn't too many people I would go with, just because simply I knew what kind of family man that he was.
Right.
And I knew that he wasn't always chasing the shiniest coin out there, and that there was going to be some stability and consistency, and he was going to put together an unbelievable staff. And so I wanted to go be a part of that and see what that realm was like. And I was hopeful that if things didn't work out for me, I might get a job spotting the ball for somebody in Texas at the high school level.
Well, and here you are in your first year, 2-0 start, great record in your career, a plus 50 wins compared to any, but you always remember like the 23 losses or whatever it might be. So the defense I mentioned is flying around to the ball. You mentioned they just go, let them go play. Why doesn't everybody do that?
Well, I think that's just our theory right now, and hopefully that approach continues to grow,
right,
and we grow off of it. This is a defense, and when we started putting it in at the University of Tulsa, and when we installed it at TCU, and now obviously trying to tailor some things, but install it here as well. The biggest thing that we wanted to do was keep it simple. And it was just kind of the KISS theory. And so, at the collegiate level, we were dealing with some of the best athletes and stuff. And so why do I want to paralyze them by analyzing and, let them play fast and run to the football? I visited with a lot of high school staffs when I was at Tulsa, when I was at TCU and things of that nature. And they all asked, the common question was, would you do this if you went back to the high school level? And I said, absolutely. We did a variation of it when I was at Stephenville, but I think this is a little bit simpler, honestly. And, you're putting your best 11 football players out on the field from a defensive standpoint right now, and letting them go make plays. And so if you can sit there and think less and play fast, then let's do that. That's what defense, when people are spreading you from sideline to sideline and doing the things that they're doing offensively nowadays, that's what you want to do.
Chauncey King's making plays, Mayton's making plays, and again, Olmstead's out. And of course, that's another player that hasn't played, and he'll be a part of that. Can you, Martin? Wissington, I told you early on in his career, he had a 97-yard scoop and score. He just seems to, like, he's a safety, but it seems like he makes plays up in the line of scrimmage on either side of the ball. Is that just he's that good?
He's that good, and he continues to get better each week. And I think that's some of the the fun of what this scheme of defense is. We're going to ask a lot of kids to do a lot of different things, and so they get to showcase a lot of different talents. Our corners are not just flat corners or lockdown corners or deep third corners or anything like that. Our roof, our safeties that play up high and stuff like that, they're going to play high. They're going to spin down in the box, outside of the box. They're going to get to showcase a lot of different talents. And so from my standpoint, I wish I would have had the opportunity to get to play in something like this. And I'm not just saying that because that's our defense. It just honestly is something that I think is a lot of fun for kids and for players, period. And so and you can go from D-line to linebackers. You can go to all three levels and talk about it. You're asking defensive linemen, and they've got the toughest job on the field. And Coach Jones does a tremendous job with those guys, because I'm going to tell you, your best deal is that you're going to have 5 blocking 3. And that's the best thing that they can get. And to have those three guys, but they get to showcase, hey, I can come off an edge. I can play a hard 5. I can play a reach 5. I can play a 4. I can play a 3. I can play a lag nose. I can play a 0. I can play a lot of different things. And so in my mind, in their minds, there's a lot of things that can get fun about it.
You have some depth there too. You're not afraid that Roberts and others who come at Guajardo, who's one of your starters, Vasquez. I don't want to.
There's a bunch.
Bird. I hate Cook. You have really good, key parts of the game. The other guys, you can't even tell who might be the starter.
No doubt. And that's what you got to do, especially when you primarily base out of a 3-man front. And Coach Jones understands that, and rotating those guys. And we've got a legit 9, 10, 11, 12 deep in that.
Yeah, and I hope I didn't miss anybody, because I know that they spread this out among the school district, but just wanted to mention the depth. All right, so Rouse, 7 o'clock kickoff, 6:30 pregame on 106.7 FM, The Eagle, and we have it online with 365 Sports and Sikkim 365 Radio. It's great to see you. Have a great rest of your week, and good luck on Friday.
Go Panthers.
Yes, Joe Gillespie, head football coach at Midway. For Garrett Ross, our producer, I'm David Smoak, and this is the Midway Football Weekly Podcast.